This demonstration will take you step by step through how to create and submit an application for the Phase 2 of the Wisconsin CARES Act Provider Payment Program, also known as CAPP. Right now, we are on the CAPP application login page. To begin, log into your account on the CAPP application portal by entering your username and password. If you submitted an application in June, you will use the same login. If this is the first time submitting an application and need to create an account, please refer to the Create an Account Job Aider video. You are now logged in. To start an application, click the Start Phase 2 application button. If this is your first time submitting an application for the CARES Act Provider Payment Program, you will only have the option to start a new Phase 2 application. For this example, however, we have submitted an application during Phase 1 and have the option to copy that application. To do so, we select the Copy Phase 1 application and then click Next. This page appears, prompting me to select the application I wish to copy and add additional loss and expenses incurred for the months of June to August. Note by doing this, certain fields throughout the application will be pre-populated based on the information previously provided. If you start a new Phase 2 application instead, all fields will be blank. For this example, I want to copy this application from Phase 1. The first tab provides guidance for completing the application, as well as information you will be asked to provide. We recommend that you take a few minutes to review this text before proceeding to the next step. When ready, click the Next button to continue. This next section asks us for information for the organization you are filing this application for. If you copied your Phase 1 application, as we did, some of these fields will be pre-populated. If so, please validate that the information is still accurate. Make changes if not. On the other hand, if this is a new application you're submitting, you will need to enter your organization's information exactly as it appears on your tax forms. Please note that any fields throughout this application with red asterisks are required and that you can hover over the lowercase I icon for additional information. The second part asks us for more information regarding your organization. This information for us is already pre-populated. However, if this is your first time completing the application, the fields may look different. First, you'll need to use a drop-down to select your provider type. You can hover over the lowercase I for more guidance. Depending on the provider type you select, additional fields may pop up. For this example, our organization is a home and community-based service provider. Because we selected the provider type of home and community-based service provider, these additional fields on the right are present. In these fields, we will enter the number of individuals served each month. Note that these fields may not be applicable or may be different if you select a different provider type. Please refer to the job aids for more details and guidance. Now verify the name of the organization and your tax identification number, also known as TIN. This needs to be the same as they appear on your tax documents. If this information has not been already pre-populated, please enter it. Using the drop-down, select whether your documents match a provider name, TIN, and address inputted. If you select no, a field will appear allowing you to provide an explanation as to why the information is different. Please note that this field is new for Phase 2 application. Everyone must complete it. For this example, our documents match our information, and so we will select yes. Next, check the following boxes to indicate if your organization is exempt from reporting service revenue in your annual return, or if your organization's annual tax or information return is filed under a different TIN. This does not apply for this example, so we will leave it unchecked. The next field requires you to indicate whether or not you have paid employees reported to IRS on Form 941 or Form 944. If you select yes, additional fields will appear on the right, prompting you to enter your gross monthly payroll for each month between January and August. If you are a sole proprietor, please enter your net income for the specified months. Let's enter that information right now. Next, indicate whether or not your organization is considered a management company. If you select yes, an additional field will appear. In this field, enter your organization's subsidiary business names, addresses, and TINs. For this example, our organization is not a management company. Next, if relevant to your provider type, complete the following fields: Medicare number, Star Supplier ID, National Provider Identifier, and Medicaid ID. Since we are copying our Phase 1 application, this information is already populated. Then, indicate the counties in which your organization operates in. Since we selected a home and community-based service provider as a provider type, we will also be asked to indicate the services provided here. This comes pre-populated as we have copied our Phase 1 application. Before moving on to the next section, indicate whether or not you're submitting this application on behalf of a provider that is owned or operated by a Wisconsin county, city, village, or town, or other public local government entity authorized under Wisconsin law. This includes providers that are jointly owned by multiple local government entities. In this example, it is not. Now we'll scroll down to physical address and mailing address. These can be the same or they may be different. If you're a Wisconsin provider, use the address provided to Forward Health as a check address for your mailing address. The physical address is the address of the location of your organization. Since we copied our application from Phase 1, this information is pre-populated. Verify that the information is accurate. Once this is all complete, click the Next button. If there are any errors on this page, you will not be able to continue the application until they are fixed. The next page prompts you to validate the addresses you entered. If you'd like to use an address the system was found based on what you entered, click the plus sign. If not, leave it unchecked. Note that if the system was not able to find an address, it will display no suggested address was found. In this example, we will choose to use a validated address, so we click the plus buttons and then click Next. We will now enter the revenue and expense information. Please note that if you copied your Phase 1 application, any expenses or losses you previously reported will be pre-populated, and you will not be able to enter additional March to May expenses or lost. First, you will enter your 2019 gross revenue as filed on your 2019 tax returns. This field is populated based on what we provided during the Phase 1 application. If you're starting a new application, complete this information first. Next, you will need to indicate if your organization has received any other CARES Act Provider Relief Fund payments. If this is your first time completing this application, use the drop-down to indicate whether or not you received additional funding. If not, select No and skip down to the section about subsidiaries. If you selected Yes, you will be able to add information about the funds received. For this example, we simply need to add additional funds that we may have received since June, since we copied the Phase 1 application. These payments could include Paycheck Protection Payment loans, EFMLA, or federally funded sick leave related to COVID-19. To log any funding received, click the Add button. A window will appear and complete all the following fields. Note, for this example, we cannot add funding received during the months of March to May. If we do so, we will receive an error message. However, if this is a new application, you will be able to log funding for both timeframes. The next question focuses on any subsidiaries your organization may have. If your organization does not have any of the same provider type, select No and continue. If your organization does have subsidiaries of the same provider type, select Yes. An additional question will appear asking if the subsidiary has been approved for or received additional CARES Act Provider Relief Fund payments. If it has not, select No and continue on. Otherwise, select Yes and you'll be prompted to add subsidiaries' other funds. Click the Add button to add funds for subsidiaries that have been approved for or received. For this example, we indicated on Phase 1 application that we do have a subsidiary and that it has received funding. Let's say, for example, that this subsidiary has received additional funding in July. We will click the Add button to log it. A window appears and we will enter the information. We then click Save. Next, we will enter any loss or expenses our organization experienced. Our March through May loss and expenses has already been provided from our Phase 1 application. To add the loss and expenses for June through August, we simply click Add. If this is your first time submitting an application, you will need to enter the loss and expenses for both time periods, March through May and June to August, separately. If your organization did not experience a loss of revenue during this time period due to COVID-19, skip to the next section. In this next question, you will enter any equipment expenses associated with COVID-19 during the months of March through May 2020 and June through August 2020. Examples of equipment include the purchase of additional cleaning supplies, PPE, or technology to serve your customers. If your organization did not have any equipment expenses associated with COVID-19 during this timeframe, continue to the next section about staffing. In this example, let's say our organization had one additional equipment expense incurred in June. We can enter this equipment expense by clicking Add, and a window will appear. Input the information and then click Save. Enter any staffing expenses associated with COVID-19 during the months of March through May 2020 and June through August 2020. Eligible staffing expenses include overtime or hazard pay. Let's say our organization had one associated staffing expense incurred in the month of July. We will click the Add button to log the staffing expense. A window will appear. Complete all the fields and then click Save. If your organization did not have any associated staffing expenses, simply leave the section empty. Click the Next button on the bottom right of the page to continue to the next section of the application. On this tab, you will be prompted to upload a copy of your required documents. Refer to the text on the application to identify the respective documents you are required to submit based on your provider type and situation. Select the files you need to upload by marking the appropriate checkboxes here. Then you will click the Upload Files button to select the files you need to upload. A window will pop up to show the status of each item. Once all the documents have been successfully uploaded, as indicated by a green check mark, click the Done button. Then click the Next button on the bottom right-hand corner of the page. This is the final page of the application. We recommend everyone taking a couple of minutes here to review the text and documentation. You can review your application by clicking on the Back button. Make sure that all the fields on this page are complete, then click Submit. Once the application has been successfully submitted, you will see the Success page. You will receive an email confirmation that your application has been submitted as well. For any additional questions, use the link in this video description to visit the CAPP program page.